Oh, can you hear me? The fortified chicken stock, honey? It's in the glass bowl in the doodad. Hey guys, Rachel and John here. Well, John's over there, technically.
Hi
guys. Thanks, hon. So, the last meal I made like this, which is sort of my longing to be back at work. I'm used to cooking and talking during the day, and when I'm cooking in the country or in my apartment, I'm not cooking and talking. So my outlet is this new thing I'm trying. And the last thing I did was make some chicken pot pie. So I made some fortified chicken stock when we made the chicken pot pie. So this is what's left of my stock. We're gonna use some of it tonight.
Wait, what does fortified mean?
Means we stirred in a little demi-glace, or you could stir in a little 1.5 ounce container of chicken demi-glace to make the flavor even richer, but you didn't have to do that. It was delicious anyway, our poaching liquid from the chicken. Or you could drop in a bouillon cube. But I also updated my freezer list of my make ahead meals, and I added our chicken pot pie to that because we double batched. So anything that I make that's saucy, I double batch so that I can also have a make ahead meal in the freezer. Tonight's plan is not double batch because it's kind of fresh fish. Thank you, Fulton Fish Market. We're going to make halibut, a heck of a halibut. It's a heck of a halibut. We're gonna make halibut with Dijon parm breadcrumbs. Or if you don't eat seafood, like my sister Maria, who's across the street with my mom right now, I butterflied a single portion of chicken. That means I cut into it horizontally, but didn't cut all the way through it. So we didn't make two cutlets. We took one breast and made one larger piece of chicken breast. I've seasoned both the fish and the chicken just with salt and pepper. And so the recipe works for either, obviously. We are also having the green beans that I said I blanched and froze some. Here's the rest of them. They're sitting in a pan, and all I did was cook some shallots. I cold shocked the green beans, so put them in boiling water, salted boiling water, 2 minutes, cold shocked them. I put some in the freezer, and some are for tonight's dinner. And I added a little chicken stock, or you could use vegetable stock, of course, with the shallots and a little butter. So we're gonna reheat that. And we're going to make rice pilaf, which is what we're going to do with our fortified stock left over from the other dinner. Anytime I cook rice, I like to cook it in broth or stock instead of water, so that you're adding that extra layer of flavor in the rice itself. So for the pilaf, I've got everything all set up here, mised out, my mise en place, everything in place. So when we cook, we can just mostly cook, right? So I have my butter. We're gonna toast some broken spaghetti, the end of spaghetti bags. I save them all in little baggies, and I use these little pieces to toast for rice pilaf. So we're gonna toast a little bit of broken pasta in some butter. We're gonna add just white long grain rice. And we're going to toast up some nuts first, some sliced almonds, and add the almonds to the pilaf when it's all done. So John knows that I burn nuts as often as I burn bread. So you'll have to remind me that they're in the pot. Go over there, get out of my way.
I can't be held responsible for burnt nuts.
Get out of my way. You said burnt nuts, ha. So for the breadcrumbs, in the pan I have panko, or you can make homemade breadcrumbs from stale bread, which I always have in my freezer. Stale bread of every shape and size, little, big, medium. I never throw away bread. They charge too much money for it these days. It's artisanal. It's bread. Anyway, I never throw away bread. I keep a bag of any leftovers.
Those bread burglars.
Anyway, you can make your own breadcrumbs, or you can use up your panko or breadcrumbs in your pantry. I actually keep all of my breadcrumbs in the freezer too, just like nuts, because nuts can spoil because they're full of oil, and bread can go stale, right? So I keep them in the freezer so I don't lose a nickel whenever I buy panko or bread. Keep it in the freezer. Anyway, big fluffy breadcrumbs, and already I've added, but I could use a little more, some Parmigiano, some grated Parm from Wisconsin or Italy. This is Parmigiano Reggiano. But Wisconsin makes a lovely Parmesan, as much as Italy makes a delicious Parmigiano. So I've got my cheese in the breadcrumbs with the zest of a lemon, or you can use dried lemon peel, okay? Now we're going to add OMG. Now, oh my God, onion, mustard, garlic. So my friend Lior has this really cool place called La Boite, and I buy my spices online or in text or email from La Boite, Laboite, 2 separate words, La Boite, the jar, the little bottle. But you can also, of course, just go to your pantry and use granulated garlic, granulated onion, or powdered garlic and powdered onion, and powdered mustard seed. That's all this is. That's what the OMG is. So cute. Anyway, I'm gonna, just for convenience sake, throw this in because I have it, but you can make your own. I'm sure you guys probably have dry mustard and dry garlic and dried onion of some sort. That's all this is. Now I'm going to chop some fresh parsley and some fresh thyme because we got lucky at the grocery today. But I also have dry thyme and dry parsley. So either or for the breadcrumb works, obviously. Hun, you have some questions we didn't get to during the chicken pot pie. Can you ask some? Because I'm just chopping parsley.
This is from @Lizzie Ziggy Wawa. What should I
That
do?
sounds fun. Lizzie Ziggy Wawa.
I want to party with Lizzie Ziggy
I know,
Wawa.
right? It sounds like they're having a party all the time, Lizzie
What
Ziggy
should
Wawa.
I do? What should I do with 1.5 green cabbages?
Oh my God, I have a half a cabbage in my drawer. In my produce drawer right over there. So, cabbage is a terrific purchase because it lasts so long in the fridge. You're not reminding me about the nuts, John. We're gonna burn them.
Nuts.
No, I'm serious. They're almost there. Anyway, cabbage is great because it has a long lead, like a long shelf life in your fridge. And I used the first half of my cabbage in ribollita, it's called. It's a vegetable soup with beans. You can make it with canned or dried beans. I made mine with dried borlotti beans. It's like a minestrone kind of a thing. But the cool thing about ribollita is the stale bread that I just showed you in the freezer. You toast stale bread till it's really nutty and fragrant, and you stir the bread into the soup. So it's cabbage, kale, any greens you like, okay? Carrot, celery, onion, any vegetables you want to add to it. Zucchini, of course, always onions and garlic. Tomato or no tomato, you can add a little bacon or pancetta if you want, but you don't need to. Beans, canned or fresh, soaked overnight and cooked, right? You mix all that together in a pot with your stock or your water, right? You cook that up. And at the very, very end, oh, and I also put a piece of cheese rind. I always buy Parmigiano with rind still attached, so you can throw it into soups and sauces. So the whole pot of soup ends up tasting like Parmigiano. Yum. Or Grana Padano, either. Anyway, you put the cheese rind in, you cook it, right? Everything gets tender and delicious. You finish it with a drizzle of olive oil more, and of course more cheese, and a little sprinkle of raw white onion. Delicious. The next thing I'm gonna do with the same cabbage is ham and hay pie, I call it. You line a skillet that's oven safe, or just wrap some foil around the handle to put it in the oven, right? To make it oven safe if you are worried about the handle not being oven safe. 375, 400. I put it in the oven. You line the pan with a little bit of butter and ham. I use speck or prosciutto. So prosciutto di Parma or speck, which is smoked prosciutto, right? Anything Westphalian, whatever, any thin sliced ham, right? You line the pan with that. You saute the cabbage and the potatoes on the stovetop. I put garlic and sage in mine and cook it in a little butter and olive oil. You take it off the heat. You take half of the cabbage and mix it with a bunch of eggs and grated parm or grana padano and a little splash of milk and nutmeg. You put some of the cabbage on the bottom with the potato and the sage. Then you dump over all of the rest of the cabbage with the eggs. And anytime I make baked eggs, it's 1 egg per inch of pan. So if it's an 8-inch pan, I use 8 eggs. If it's a 10-inch pan, I use 10 eggs. 12-inch pan, I use 12 eggs, blah, blah. Dump that in, tuck the ham up all around the edges so it looks like a ham-wrapped frittata. Put it in the center of the oven and bake it till the eggs just start to spring back and are a little golden on top. Then you cool it. On and on and on. Cabbage you can also shred up and turn into mushu or egg foo young. You can quick saute it and add in soy or tamari, scrambled eggs, any vegetables you like. Put in some pork or tofu or chicken. Put it in flour tortillas with hoisin sauce or black bean sauce. And you have a mushu kind of pancakey thing. Or you can just saute it with those same Asian flavors, ginger and garlic and soy, and top it with a scrambled egg and make a little quick brown gravy in a pan out of chicken stock or beef stock or any stock you like, with a little Worcestershire and soy in the stock. Pour the gravy over the omelet, over the cabbage, and you have egg foo young. I mean, on and on and on. Cabbage is a great one. Good job with the cabbage. You can also make a really fresh Reuben style hash with any sort of pastrami or turkey pastrami or corned beef, any spicy meat. Saute it in a pan, take it out, just brown it and crisp it. Put in the drippings, onions and garlic and the cabbage, any spices you like. Mix that all together, put an egg on top and make some Russian dressing. For me, I use sour cream instead of mayonnaise is my base, and ketchup and relish. More Worcestershire in the sauce, salt and pepper. So you have Russian dressing on top of hash with egg. And instead of sauerkraut, you used fresh cabbage. I didn't burn the nuts, by the way, and John was absolutely no help whatsoever.
Sorry, I'm busy being Martin Scorsese over here.
Oh yeah, Scorsese's real jealous of us, John.
You want another question?
Yes, of course.
This is from...
Okay, so now for the pilaf,
okay.
In the same pan I browned the nuts, I'm melting some butter. When the butter melts, we're gonna toast the pasta so it's nutty. That's all, they don't need to.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. It's not
too,
that exciting. We're watching
too
butter
intrusive.
melt. We're watching butter melt. Not that big of a deal.
Is that like watching paint dry?
Kind of like watching paint dry. Yes.
So Mindy and Bambi have another question. What's your favorite kitchen gadget you can't live without?
You can live without every kitchen gadget, including all the ones that I've designed, period. You can. All you really need is a sharp knife, a garbage bowl, something to keep you from running back and forth to the garbage in the recycling bins while you're cooking, something to just put by your side and be your buddy. A large cutting board and a good knife. That's really all you need. I design my own gadgets. I make a bench scrape that has sides because I use it to move food from the counter to the pan. So a bench scrape normally doesn't have sides to it. This is to contain more food. So I use that a lot. I love, 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 and respect deeply microplanes. I think they're brilliant. I designed a version of my own simply because I wanted to be able to hang it on a hot pot, which is what these little pedals do, and allow me to have my two favorites in one. This is a zester for nutmeg and lemon zest, which I just used it for. And this is to grate garlic or grate onions into things. So the two things that I do with this the most, or grate cheese, of course, I have in one unit, and I have little pedals that are heat safe up to 500 degrees, so I can literally hang it over a pot while I'm working. But the idea, of course, came from what we all love, the microplane. which I believe started with a woman who went to the garage and used her husband's woodworking tool to grate cheese. And I think that was the beginning of this company, but whatever, they're brilliant, and shout out to them. But you don't need anything except you. My mom said that your two most important kitchen utensils are attached to the ends of your arms. They're your hands. You smell how nutty that is? It smells like toasted nuts.
Let me see.
See, you want to get the pasta brown.
Nelly.
Okay? So that's just broken spaghetti, but it's brown as heck. Super brown. Brown, like brown. Super brown. When it's really fragrant, then you add the rice. Okay? We are reserving our toasted nuts. John's like a grade school kid. Every time I say nuts, he's like, ooh.
She said nuts.
She said nuts.
Oh, wait, so.
And now we're going to add our fortified stock.
Adding fortified stock.
2 cups to 1 cup of the rice and a little bit of broken pasta, okay? And now we're going to, as soon as it comes to a bubble, which is almost immediate, you turn it way down low. You guys know how to make rice.
Okay.
Turn it super down low. Just give it a little shake every few minutes. Do not take the lid off. 15 to 18 minutes, depending on how you like your rice. So anyway, go ahead, John. I'm just picking up the mess.
What's the best way to make home fries?
So if the potatoes are already cooked, then if they're mashed, you put a little butter or olive oil or canola oil or cooking spray in a pan. Non-stick pan, always when I cook potatoes, so you can use less fat. And you just brown them and make them into cakes. If you're starting from fresh potatoes, I peel them and dice them or shred them very small. I get the pan super hot and I start with olive oil, salt, and pepper. And I let them get crusty brown underneath a silicone lid or a pot, or just throw a pan over the skillet if you don't have a lid that fits. Let them get brown on one side, but you're also trapping the steam on the top at the same time, you see? So when they get brown on the bottom, then I take the lid off, I flip them over, and I add my onions and garlic or anything I want to add to it, okay? And that gives it more moisture while it's browning on the second side. And I use that as a base for a lot of things, even if I'm baking them in the oven inside something, like I made an Indian omelet the other day. All these great herbs and my homemade curry spice and stuff. But I always start the pan just with the potatoes and get the potatoes crispy, and then I add leeks and ginger and garlic, blah, blah, on and on. So even if you're gonna put them in the oven and the crispy potatoes are part of a recipe, I still take the time to brown the potatoes. Color equals flavor in cooking, period. Like that's a general rule.
One other question?
Mm-hmm.
This is from
Cheers, by the way. Delicious Brunello. No, this isn't
Cheers.
Brunello, this is Barbera.
This is from It's Live by Love. What is your favorite comfort food?
I get asked what's my favorite dish a lot. I don't have a favorite dish. Just adding the parsley, but we already went through what's in the breadcrumb. My husband's favorite dish is?
Carbonara.
Carbonara, bacon and egg spaghetti. I don't have a favorite dish. I will eat pretty much anything. I think for comfort food, I love soups and stews. In cold months, I don't like them in hot months, obviously.
Gazpacho.
In the summer, my favorite is probably gazpacho and some grilled shrimp or shrimp scampi. I love shrimp and gazpacho in the summer. And I love any soup and any pasta dish in the winter. I love stews and braised meats. But I don't really have a favorite meal. Isn't that weird? I just don't. I've always said I wouldn't want a last meal because I'd be too depressed. But if I get a first meal, and if there is a heaven or something like heaven, I want to eat with my grandpa and my first dog, Boo. and Boo would want butternut squash, and my grandpa would want salty spaghetti with sardines or anchovies. So that's what I would have if I was having a divine meal. So I'm gonna get the baking pans. I lined them with a little foil so we don't have to wash them, and a piece of parchment. And I'm going to put the chicken on one and the fish on another, just sprayed with a little bit of cooking spray. John is helping Isabu get some water. So I might be out of frame for a couple minutes. I'll be over here. I'm just gonna spray the chicken and the fish with a little cooking oil.
Okay, I'm back.
Just spraying a little olive oil on the fish and the chicken. And gonna arrange that. Okay. The oven is hot to 425. And now we're gonna top everybody with Dijon mustard.
Well, see, I was gonna get a mustard shot, and you blew it.
Well, you gotta get out of the way. I can't get to the mustard when you're standing in front of the mustard.
That's what they always say.
The mustard is the glue that holds the breadcrumb mixture
All right, Isabu's up again.
on the fish. She's got FOMO. She hears us talking and she's really upset that she's not the star. So anyway, I have covered the fish. See, I turned them a little bit kind of on angles to give them a little bit of room. All right. I covered them with the parm and panko, the granulated onion, granulated garlic, fresh or dried thyme and parsley. All of that's going on here. And lemon zest, of course. There's the zested lemon, okay? We're gonna squeeze the lemon over the top of the chicken and the fish when it's done. So leave that right on the counter, okay? So now this is gonna cook about 15 to 20 minutes until the fish is completely opaque. The chicken, we butterflied, so it's gonna cook in about the same amount of time because it's so thin because we split it open. Now, see, I have not contaminated this. All I've done is sprinkle it on top. So I can save this in a little airtight container and make it again next week. I already have the mixture all together. So I'll keep that in a little tin and I've got it all set to go for the next time I want to use it. And now I can put these guys in the oven. So I'll see you guys in like, what, 15, honey? I'm saying that that's a Scotch break for John and I know it's a Barbera break for me.
Ha, love it!
Okay, the rice looks like it's absorbed all of its liquids, its cooking liquids. So I'm gonna turn it off and let it stand for a couple minutes. I turned on the green beans and the shallots and I put a lid on the pot just to heat up the green beans that were blanched over the shallots that I cooked in butter with a little bit of stock. Okay, so that's heating up. Putting a lid on it. So.
Following you to the chicken.
The chicken and the fish, John. The fish is our dinner.
Ooh, that's nice.
I would say it looks just about perfect. Okay, so we're still waiting for the rice to rest and the green beans to heat. So I'm going to turn the oven off just to keep it warm. Don't you hate it when your oven talks to you? It goes, it sounds like R2-D2 or something. It kind of freaks me out. I just want a quiet oven. Unless they made one that said, Rachel, you're burning the bread or setting it on fire. That would be a good oven.
Probably have that.
I don't think they have a bread alarm, hon. Let's do some more questions while we're waiting for everything to kind of rest and the green beans to heat through.
This is from @MartMan with 2 N's 74. Can you make a frittata using a cast iron skillet?
Yes, you can, but you need more fat than if you used a nonstick skillet. A cast iron skillet is essential for meat and potatoes, and it's great for a fried egg. It's a cowboy essential in my mind. I always picture somebody cooking over an open fire, franks and beans or eggs and beans, and slow cooked meats and stew and, you know, kind of that home on the range thing. I love cast iron. It's one of my favorite materials. I make cast iron skillets. It's an absolute essential in my kitchen. But when I make frittatas, quite frankly, I use a nonstick oven safe pan so that I can use less fat. That's the only reason. But yeah, you of course you can.
Okay, this is from @Murphy NJ91. If you could only eat one food every day for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I moved to Denmark 20-something years ago for a few months. It's a really long story. But when I lived there, I didn't have a kitchen. I had a one-room apartment with a bathroom that didn't even have a separate shower. You would just close the door and the shower was in the ceiling next to the toilet. And you just turn the shower on and close the bathroom door. And I lived on bread and tomatoes and olive oil and sea salt and various cheeses. Sometimes I'd mix in fruit for fun. So I guess it would be, and I bought copious amounts of wine. So I guess it would be bread, cheese, tomatoes, and wine. Because I know I was pretty happy during those couple of months of my life.
Okay, this is maybe my favorite question from @freakin', then a slash, Fatone. How do you use Mexican crema? And then this is the best part.
Okay.
This is the best part of the question. I accidentally bought a whole bottle with an exclamation point. I love that.
Is there a place you could buy a quarter bottle of anything? That's weird.
I love how he accidentally or she accidentally bought a whole bottle of crema.
Well, don't freak out,
Fantastic.
freaking slash tag. Don't freak out. Mexican crema is literally interchangeable with sour cream or creme fraiche. So you can do anything with it you could do with those things. AKA, you can put it in a blender with avocado and make avocado crema with lime juice or lemon juice and some herbs and make, I call it ranchero sauce, ranch sauce, but spicy. So I take avocado and crema, put it in a food processor with dill, parsley or cilantro, and chive, garlic, the lemon or the lime, which aforementioned, a fresh jalapeno pepper, or any number of hot sauces, and whiz that up with salt and pepper, and it's delicious sauce, period, that you could put on anything you would put ranch dressing on. You can also use it as the base for Russian dressing. I never make Russian dressing or Thousand Island dressing with mayonnaise. I make it with sour cream or crema or creme fraiche because it's thicker, it has more viscosity, it has a tangier flavor, which I prefer. So I use it as the base, and I add ketchup and relish and Worcestershire sauce, salt and pepper. Sometimes I add horseradish, depends on how I'm using the Russian dressing. That's delicious. It's delicious just dolloped on a potato, a roasted potato with any vegetables you like. On and on and on quesadillas, on tacos. Like, that's an easy one, buddy. And anytime you want to make a soup creamy, you dollop it in at the end, or a paprikash, or Swedish meatballs. Anything you want to make creamy, you use it just like heavy cream, sour cream, or creme fraiche. I think we have time for one more, but I'm going to stir the almonds into the rice because the rice has been resting a couple minutes and the fish looks almost perfect.
Okay, so this is from Moore, Moore, do Glover. How do you amp up asparagus? Wait, how do you store that asparagus on the counter? Because that's interesting.
I never put it in the fridge. I cut it like flowers and I keep it in water. So until I blanch this, it will keep being fresh and beautiful. So anytime I find veggies, I bring them home and I process them to the best of my ability so that I eat more veggies and the work's already done. So these will get blanched, put on sheet trays, individually frozen on the sheet tray. Then I put them into the freezer bags and put them in the freezer so they're all loosey-goosey. Anyway, asparagus, I put more often than not, I get the pan nice and hot with some butter and I add lots of lemon and whatever herbs, tarragon, fresh basil, just parsley or just the lemon juice and salt is fine. We also use asparagus often on breakfast sandwiches with deviled ham or croque monsieur or croque madame. So ham and bechamel and Dijon mustard on a toast with an egg on top, we put asparagus in it. Or we make deviled ham, you know, lots of mustard and Worcestershire and hot sauce, all ground up with onions and garlic and celery. You just had it for breakfast, like yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like ham with a Bloody Mary.
Right,
Mixed together.
it is. So we put asparagus on that. We put asparagus into frittatas. I put asparagus into the last meal I did with you guys. I don't know if anybody saw it, but we made chicken pot pie. We put asparagus into that. Of course, you can add it to any vegetable soup. I always save the stems. When you bring home asparagus, you snap it wherever it naturally snaps. That's how you trim the asparagus for putting it in the water. The asparagus stems, you can keep and cook in stock, then puree it and add cream or creme fraiche and lemon juice and any other flavors you like, dried or fresh herbs, garlic, cooked onion, yada yada, and you have cream of asparagus soup. So on and on and on, asparagus is just a dream ingredient. Okay, so the fish and the chicken are out of the oven. Hon, come take a look.
Okay.
Here's the rice pilaf with the almonds stirred in and the toasted spaghetti. See how nice and brown the almonds and the spaghetti are? Here's the chicken for my sister, Maria. Here's the halibut, heck of a halibut. Getting the juice of the lemon that we zested for the breadcrumbs.
You're squirting lemon on our only camera.
Okay, sorry, whatever. And then back here, here's our green beans with our shallots, all nice and hot and toasty roasty. Great.